Good morning, everyone. Wave meteorologist Brian Good. Sounds like you guys have already heard the news about Milton. I'll clarify some of that coming up here in just a second. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Nice to enjoy some beautiful fall weather, although 89 degrees yesterday at Fry. Oh, boy, it was pushing close against my my lovely 90 there for a while that I was fearing was going to try to sneak in, but we lucked out. 89. Came close. Too close, right? A lot to cover, obviously, today when it comes to what's happening in the tropics. A lot of you still have friends or family there that may be still taking part in fall break festivities, vacation plans. So I do want to make sure I focus quite a bit on that update, as it's going to be a national headline, and it will be on every national newscast, any newscast really, just because we just went through with Helene. We'll cover that. Back here at home, there will be some much more positive changes for us that we'll be facing as we hit the next couple of weeks. And your hint on that is dry, dry, dry will be the key on how that'll play out for us. All right, I'm going to do a couple things here. First off, let's see if I can get my cameras to line up. I'll tell you what. Let me show you first. Make sure I got everything in the right spot. Okay, let me take you first to a live shot. This is going to be in Clearwater Beach, Florida. And that's not Clearwater Beach, Florida. This is Clearwater Beach, Florida. And this is a live look right now there into Clearwater, where at the moment is, very, very still, right? Just a few waves being hinted to in the distance. You don't have your surfers out there or anything. A lot of the mandatory evacuation orders will start being put in place. I believe that Clearwater airports, those of you type it in on, try to schedule flights, PIE, that will be shutting down tomorrow afternoon after the last flight. That will be the last one out of PIE will be tomorrow, as they will be shutting down the airport. Okay, so let me explain where we are at when it comes to the latest with Milton. Very powerful hurricane. This is stronger than what Helene was, to be clear. This is a Cat, not a Cat 5. This is a Cat 4. We're almost a Cat 5. Only a few more miles per hour. You get to 156, and then you're there. You're at a Cat 5 hurricane, which is the highest you can get on the scale, and just keep going up. There is a bit of a wave in advance of it. It doesn't look like it's going to disrupt it. If anything, Milton will just absorb it. But look at Milton, how rapidly, and you see that little flickering going on, that little flashing. That is just the intense amount of intensity, the rapid pressure drop that is happening, allowing for that to develop to really get your attention, right? That's just a good sign this thing's really getting its act together. From, I believe it was 100 miles per hour yesterday, I believe, and now it's 150 and continues to climb. And it is in a very warm pocket there in the southwest Gulf of Mexico. So where is it going? Well, it will briefly graze across the Yucatan. No landfall is expected, but it will give Cozumel and Cancun some very rough 36 hours ahead as it scoots over that area. And then the target still looks like it's heading toward somewhere along the central portion coast here of Florida. And this would include Fort Myers, Sarasota, Tampa Bay, and not direct impact, but still impacts will be Orlando and Disney World. As the eye will pass, according to the latest run, the eye will still be passing over Disney World as we head into your Thursday. So landfall is expected Wednesday near Tampa, and by Thursday after midnight, we get into Thursday morning. It should at that point be at Disney World, and then it should be back over into the open water again by Thursday evening. Doesn't stay over land very long, but Florida, as you guys know, is a relatively flat state. So a lot of marshland through this area. So there's not a lot of friction to disrupt this type of circulation. So this will just keep on going off to the east. But Tampa Bay, the angle of attack is crucial on how this will play out, because you do have the inlets and the bays going in. I track a little more toward the north would be bad in a sense, and really bad, as a track just north of Tampa Bay would really allow for the storm surge to be just inundated all the way well inland into Tampa. A little more of a track to the south, just barely has to pass, say around Sarasota. The flow being counterclockwise would allow the water out of Tampa Bay to empty. It would drop rapidly and flow out to sea. We've seen that before take place. So the track is still wobbling a bit but those finer details absolutely matter on what the impact will be on land and for people to keep in mind. We do know that with this circulation the way it is, it's going to encompass the entire state. And obviously on the southeast side here, you're going to have your tornado threat that will be an issue all the way to really the Keys and Miami. I've already heard from a lot of you that are already in Orlando or have friends or family there, and like, what should you do? Well, first off, if you're with Disney, talk to officials at Disney if they haven't communicated already to you all. They are the ones that deal with this constantly, each and every year. It's part of their emergency plan of what happens. So they likely have a plan in place to make sure that you are able to shelter and get food and water and be able to have electricity. Knowing Disney World, it's probably its own little city in itself to maintain itself there. So I would check with officials there, all right, before you venture out on the roads. If you're somewhere else that does not have that type of security in play, I would go ahead. Today is the day. Today is the day to get on I-75 or on 95 and get out. Don't go south, go north. And this time around, unlike Helene, which was such a massive system, Milton's a large system, but not as wide and large as what Helene was. You have time to get out of its reach, and you really would only have to go into Atlanta, or even if you wanted to go into Alabama, Birmingham, Montgomery, you would be out of the danger zone on that. Possibly Savannah, but I'd rather you go more northwest and do up the coast in case there is a turn at the last minute there. But either way, Central Florida is going to be, already has been, but will be certainly be the headlines of the weather week for us as we monitor what looks to be a Cat 5 storm. I mean, it's just a few more miles per hour away from getting Cat 5 strength, and you saw where it was. It's still in the Bay of Campeche. So we've got a long time to go of warming. Now, there's some showers and storms in advance of this, so we'll see if that can maybe shake down some of the intensity. Speaking of that, Florida has already picked up what we call the precursor rainfall, which is exactly what happened with the mountains with Helene. Helene was bad in itself, but we had 36 hours of heavy rain before Helene arrived, and that was what made the situation with Helene even more unique. Similar setup in Florida. Precursor rains are happening here across the Sunshine State. You've had that for the past couple of days. That will just really add to your rain totals more than anything, but certainly the speed of this is moving fast enough. I don't see it being extremely slow or stalling like Helene did, so that's good, but still it is going to be bringing a tremendous amount of water into Central Florida. And you can see this is an example of one of the models indicating 14 inches plus. Some of the data has been 18 to 20 in and around St. Petersburg and the Tampa Bay area. Too early to make a final call on that. Either way, I don't think it really matters. I mean, you're just going to have a tremendous amount of rain, especially near and just north of its path. That is where the heaviest of rain will indeed fall. And you can see the problem, again, with the bay, the way those inlets are going all the way into the city and downtown Tampa. If the wind flow comes in, and see the track is up here around Clearwater, then that flow going into the bay could be near catastrophic with that type of storm surge being pushed inland. And on the flip side, if it's a little more south, then the flow would take that water out of the bay, leading to a whole other set of issues, but very eerie setup for sure. So that's where we stand right now on Milton. Okay, and it will continue to head off to the sea and not be a bother to anyone else other than the Bahamas. We'll have to face it next. But again, the target time, Wednesday for impact for Tampa. Same really for the Orlando area, Wednesday night, early Thursday morning, about Thursday night, and so on the other side of Florida itself. So the 24-hour window of Wednesday to Thursday is going to be the roughest that we'll see. And this could be, already is, the strongest hurricane of the season so far. Let's hope we don't ever see it get to the strongest on the record books there. But it is getting big. It is getting big. Let's see. Sheila heard that with the water being filled with headline, it'd be good the water be pulled out. I heard that Disney World is closing Wednesday and Thursday. They may be closing down for new guests, but people that are already there, I doubt they'll just kick you on the streets. But I don't know what Disney's rules are. So again, contact them. I don't want to speculate. It's not my job. I want you guys to get the straight from them. All right. So talk to them and let them know what you should do on that idea. All right. Michael, bad thing about hurricane in Florida is we're not going to get any rain out of it. I don't think we need any more. I'm fine with that, Brad. They can stay down there. Boy, if it turned north and end up with rain in the Carolinas back in Kentucky, that's a whole other story, right? Jonathan, dangerous surf on the East Coast by the end of the way. Yeah, you're right. This will continue to translate with high surf for all the beaches, all the way to Rehoboth Beach. That's easy to say. You get all the way into Delaware area. It's going to be rough. There are signs there could be yet another system in behind this, but that one looks to be a little more south, but we'll wait and see. But the tropics are still very active, especially for the Southern Gulf and the Caribbean. Okay, enough on that for now. It's ever changing. So if I were to do a blog in 45 minutes, I'm going to have a whole new set of data that may even be showing adjustments from what I'm telling you now. It's going to be happening fast. So know your sources where you're getting your weather info. Don't watch old weather blogs. After I'm done, I'm an old weather blog now. All right. Don't watch it again. Look for new or live info for the very latest of what's going on from emergency officials, and we'll keep you updated as well on our newscast. But it will keep changing. I'm afraid I'm going to hear a lot of speculation online of, it's only a Cat 1. No, they said it's a Cat 5. No, they said it's a Cat 16. There is no Cat 16. But somebody's going to say it, and then it gets messy on social media. So be careful what you click on. Make sure it's a government source. And if it's a news agency, make sure it's a news agency you know, not one that just looks like a news agency, but you've never heard of it before. Don't click that. It's a big problem right now with lean, and it's costing lives when people are wasting their time clicking those, because those are people that are needing information to help get to loved ones, and they're wasting valuable time. Please do not put people through that. All right, off my soapbox. Back here at home, quiet, lovely weather, right? We had a front that did come through last night, so we did get back into a cooler setup today. 60s looks to be the roll. We may briefly touch into the 70s in the city of Louisville, but much of the day will be spent into the 60s, which feels just awesome outside. Radar, of course, is quiet, so our radar gets a break for a while. As we head down to the south, there is, of course, Milton continuing to spin across the Bay of Campeche, the southern part there of the Gulf of Mexico. And you see the precursor rain event that is happening here. Again, if you didn't have this, normally you would just be tracking just the spin of a hurricane, right? Heading toward Florida. That in itself would be bad. But you got all this rain that is already causing some, at least not really big-time flooding issues, but it's got just everything so waterlogged in Florida that when Milton does move in, it's just going to pile on top of that. It's very interesting to see two predecessor events with hurricanes like this back-to-back. I don't think I can recall that. It's probably happened. Probably wasn't paying attention that much in school if one happened a long time ago. But this is new to see it in real time twice back-to-back. Let me show you, actually, while I'm on this again. I said I wasn't going to do it, and I'm going to. I believe this is the one. Actually, we switch over one more. There we go. This is a look from space. This is a satellite they have repositioned to be stuck over the eye of Milton. So it's a very high-res image of the eye. So as the sun comes up, that's when we're able to see it. And you can see right there, look at the towers there where the convection is flying up. I don't see the center of the eye yet, but the sun needs to get a little bit higher up. But this may end up becoming a clear sky here soon with a very well-defined stadium seating type of eye or stadium effect that may be developing here today. So we'll see how these thunderstorms blossom. But the amount of technology and tools we got these days, guys, to track all this is wild. All right, let me skip through this future cast because really there isn't anything to show for you all. We're going to be cool at night. There is a chance. There is a secondary front this week. Patchy frost in the valley areas possible. A killing frost is unlikely. So I don't see a big concern on the growing season ending this week other than patchy frost in your windshield, maybe in your yards. Some of you are going to get that this week. It's a perfect setup for that. But a widespread issue that would be official frost scenario is probably a little more unlikely for now. Next week could be different, but beautiful weather for sure. Here is the aerial showing Milton again going off the eastern seaboard. Real quick on the other side of Florida into Thursday afternoon night. It's now into the Atlantic, heading toward not too far away really from Bermuda. Look at the rain snow line though into New England, into Niagara Falls. They could get a few flakes mixed in there. Then we get another shot over the weekend. Very similar to what we had this weekend. We got warm, and then a front moved in. I don't think we're going to get as warm as what we did this past weekend, but I do think we'll get into the 80s. And then the second front will dig right into the area. The patterns just keep repeating themselves here, right? So the second one digs right into the Jersey Shore area, tries to throw back an even colder shot of air, which would take us into a week from today. This is the one that could give us perhaps a better opportunity to get even a frost even into the city of Louisville. That is possible before it relaxes. And then you guessed it, we may just repeat this again for the last 10 days of October, and the tropics will remain active to the south. Eventually, there's going to be a connect here again with a tropical system and a front or a low that gets cut off somewhere in New England. At some point, the two are going to meet up here. I think it may be November before it happens, but boy, the pattern is set for that to happen. Getting a little ominous on that idea. But for us, very, very quiet, very dry. And yes, I am worried we could go back into a drought status with this kind of a pattern. It's at least possible, but it could be a lot worse. We could be in the Carolinas dealing with what they have to do, deal with recovery, and we could be in Florida gearing up for what looks to be at least a week or so without power there. So we got to count our blessings where we can here, guys, right? Let's get you right into the 10-day. And whoops, I thought I had the 10-day. Sorry about that. Here is a 10-day with me, but now let me show you the 10-day without me. There we go. So many buttons. Any questions I could try to answer on this? Some I won't be able to, but I'll try. Ashley, I can't get my boyfriend and his family to leave Florida. That's usually the case in many, especially for people that have been there for a long time. They feel like they can get through it and ride it out. Cat 5 is, it's going to weaken fairly quick once it moves on shore, but still, you just don't want to mess with it. It's not the wind and the rain initially that is so devastating with hurricanes. It is the aftermath. As we're seeing now, what's happening with Helene, it's the aftermath. It's the days without power, no access to water, nowhere to even use the restroom, really, nowhere to get food, and it heats up. You may even jump well into the 80s and 90s, and you deal with that for days and days and days. And Florida is a tough state to get to because we really have, the interstate system just to get to you because you're a peninsula. So there's a lot of things that work against Florida, but Florida is also at the same time a professional state on handling tropical systems. So listen to the locals too at the same time. Just know what to do, pay attention, and stay close to the weather forecast, of course, even there for the local officials. If you're down there in that area, her friends that do, remember Jessica Dobson, who used to work here at WAVE, she's a meteorologist at the Fox station there in Orlando. So turn Jessica on. She's one of our locals there in Orlando, and feel free to ask her some questions too. Let her know you're from up here, and she'll be glad to help you out, I'm sure. Okay, so that's it for now, guys. Very, very, very quiet. You see our 70s. Slight reset midweek. Otherwise, the front Sunday to Monday I doubt it's going to give us any rain. I'll be generous and put a 10% in. Otherwise, it will allow for even cooler weather for early next week. Pretty easy going forecast for us. All right. We'll get the new advisory out for Milton coming up on midday. I'll see you guys then.